Part 160. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1591. Chapter 1591. When I grow up, I will be Brother Feng's girlfriend. When Bai Jiyu heard that Yeching Feng might have a new girlfriend, her first reaction was decisive. Brother Feng doesn't want new friends, you will play with him. Yezhiruo talked to her patiently, you is still young. This friend is different from the friends I play with. What's the difference? Well, for example, it is possible to become friends with the relationship between daddy and mommy using a real example, although Yezhiruo didn't know whether Beijiyu could really understand it. After Beijiyu heard this, she walked to the small bedroom where she rested without saying a word. After watching Beijiyu enter, Nangongyu, who was silent, pulled Yezhiruo a little and whispered, "Hey, don't tell her this." Yezhiruo grinned, "Actually, there's no need to think of children too childishly. I think you understands. But you clearly know that you likes brother Qingfeng very much." "I know, but this kind of thing will always happen in the future. Let's instill some knowledge into her now and then she will slowly accept it later. It is better than telling her all of this suddenly one day in the future." Nangongyu thought about what Yezhiruo said carefully, and felt that it made some sense, so he nodded, "Okay." Actually, she still had something in mind, which was what Yezhiruo teased Yeching Feng about before, saying that he would be a housekeeper and take care of Beijiyu for the rest of his life. However, considering the actual situation, Nangongyu thought of a poem in the book that was very appropriate. It probably said, "Before you gave birth to me, I was already old after you gave birth to you." The two of them got into trouble by gossiping, but Mo Xiongnuan caught up with them on the other side. Mo Xiongnuan took the nutritious meal he had carefully prepared to Beijiyu's room, only to find, the little guy was hiding in bed crying. The cry was not loud, Beijiyu hiccuped from crying, which really startled Mo Xiongnuan, and he immediately put down the things in his hands to comfort her. After asking for the reason several times, I heard Beijiyu say intermittently, "Brother Feng wants to find a girlfriend." Huh, these words made Mo Xiongnuan confused. She is the kind of good student who keeps her ears off the outside world and only reads the books of sages. She has no idea about Yeching Feng's romantic luck. When she first heard that Yeching Feng was looking for a girlfriend, she still couldn't react. "Who told you this? I didn't hear it from my brother." "Sister Ruo and Sister Yu both know." "Okay, but why are you crying?" Mo Xiongnuan didn't know anything about love, and the reaction he gave didn't even make Beijiyu cry. Hearing this, Beijiyu suddenly couldn't cry anymore. "Sister Nuanuan, do you know what a girlfriend is?" "Well, it is a pronoun that confirms the relationship between two people when they like each other. You are still young, so you don't need to think about these things." "I'm not young anymore, I understand everything you said." "You is so smart." Mo Xiongnuan immediately changed the subject when he saw her mood recovered. He stood up, brought nutritious meals and placed them on the mobile dining table next to him. "Are you hungry? Let's eat something." Beijiyu honestly picked up the spoon, took a spoonful and put it into her mouth, muttering, "Sister Nuanuan, can I also be Brother Feng's girlfriend when I grow up?" If my sister says it, boyfriend and girlfriend will be together like daddy and mommy, and daddy will no longer play with others, and I will do the same in the future. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1592. Chapter 1592. The boy stared at you for 8.03 seconds. Yeching Feng arrived at Beijia in the evening. Beijiyu became energetic as soon as she saw him, which was more effective than taking 10 pills. "Brother Feng, why did you come here? You misses you so much." Plunging into the bad place and acting coquettishly, when Yeching Feng squatted down, she immediately kissed Yeching Feng on the cheek. Kitano, who happened to see this scene, his eyes were straight. "You were, come to daddy. Daddy, I want to take brother Feng to the room to play." Bei Jiyu hugged Ye Qingfeng's arm and smiled. She could not see the weakness that she had before when she was lying on the bed sickly. Bi saw how much his daughter liked Ye Qingfeng, and he would even be so jealous that he wanted to drive her out with a broom. But he didn't dare. I think back then, Kitano was also a bully on campus. He had a bad temper and would do whatever he wanted. But now, even if he is dissatisfied with someone, he dare not express his opinion directly. Who asked his favorite wife to give him a baby girl? What a surprise! One thing comes down to another. This time Yezhiruo and Nangongyu were quite worried that Bei Jiyu would get angry with Ye Qingfeng because of what they heard at noon today, but the strange thing was that the child seemed to have forgotten about the girlfriend and saw Ye Qingfeng. Not a word was mentioned in the breeze. They even suspected that Bei Jiyu had selective amnesia. Not normal, really not normal. Forget it, Sister Ruo, don't worry about it anymore, we shouldn't have talked about it in the first place. After all, the relationship between Ye Qingfeng and Zuyu is still speculation. Besides, after Zuyu suffered a blow from Nangongyu on the basketball court, she was depressed for 2 days, which made Zhu Xing anxious. He thought to himself that it was all because of himself that his sister was attracted to Ye Qingfeng. His sister, who originally focused on studying, was now depressed due to relationship matters. If this affected his college entrance examination results, then he would become the Zhu family's the #1 sinner. Sister, you promised me before that it would not affect your studies no matter what. Look at how you can still study like this. Zhu Xing is full of worries. Zuyu glanced at him, but she thought it was reasonable. Don't worry, even if I am really emotionally moved, I am definitely motivated to learn. After all, only the better your academic performance will be, the closer you will be to Ye Qingfeng. Thinking of this, Zuyu regained her vitality. When others were aware of her thoughts, she temporarily hid her thoughts and focused on her studies. This not only prevented Ye Qingfeng from doubting her, but even Yezhiruo treated her somewhat differently. Yezhiruo mentioned this matter when she and Nangongyu were walking around campus, and Nangongyu acted very calmly. Yezhiruo looked her up and down and asked, "Xiao Yuer, why are you so Buddhist?" Nangongyu smiled and said nothing, raised his eyes and saw someone coming in front of him, and quickly reminded him, "Someone is coming." Ahem, Yezhiruo immediately calmed down her expression. After all, the person opposite her was the image of a beautiful girl with a cold temperament. The two of them kept their posture straight until the oncoming group of people passed by, and then Yezhiruo and Nangongyu continued to move forward. At this moment, the spirit of gossip in Yezhiruo's heart has been extinguished, but Nangongyu said something unexpected to her. "Sister Ruo, among the group of people who just walked over, there is a boy who keeps staring at you." Huh, Yezhiruo didn't understand the meaning for a moment. Nangongyu smiled slightly and said, "I stared at you for 8.03 seconds. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1593. Chapter 1593. Play hard to get. Is the calculation so accurate? Yezhiruo muttered in a low voice, but did not take the matter to heart. Nangongyu just smiled lightly, "That person's gaze is too intense. Can't you only hold the things you like and care about in your eyes? Insight and my willingness to pay attention are two different things." Okay. The two of them walked up to the teaching building together. When they reached the turn of the stairs, Zuyu came out from behind. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart, as expected, "We grew up together. We have such a good relationship." Zhu Yu felt anxious when she thought of Nangongyu and Ye Qingfeng being childhood sweethearts. The right family, the talented man and the beautiful woman are really very enviable. Sister, didn't you promise me to put aside other worries and prepare for the college entrance examination? Zhu Xing suddenly came from behind, startling Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu turned to look at him, sighed again, and slowly went upstairs. The next week, Zhu Yu seemed to disappear from their sight. Ye Qingfeng, the teacher wants you to go to the office. Ye Qingfeng put down the pen in his hand and placed it on the notebook. He stood up and walked out of the classroom calmly. The desk mate curiously picked up the notebook on his desk and saw that a very difficult problem left by the math teacher in the previous class had already been solved. Desk mate, 666, Ye Qingfeng has finished the answer to the homework given by the teacher just now. Ye Qingfeng saw Zhu Yu walking out of the office while still in the corridor. The two were supposed to meet, but Zhu Yu turned down the stairs next to the office. Ye Qingfeng, who had no unnecessary emotions at first, had a subtle change at this moment. With his excellent memory, of course he knew Zhu Yu's class and its location. Zhu Yu should have come towards him and passed him by, but now she deliberately avoided it. As for can avoid, this is definitely not something he overthinks, but because he accidentally saw Zhu Yu this week, and he has already discovered that Zhu Yu's little actions are deliberately avoiding him. Don't know the reason. The college entrance examination is approaching, and the school has already begun to determine the recommendation. Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo agreed unanimously. Since it can be guaranteed in advance, why not? Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo chose to go to the same school. Zhu Xing asked Ye Qingfeng about his choice, and Ye Qingfeng directly stated the name of the school. How is it, what did Ye Qingfeng say? It turned out that Zhu Yu stood next to Zhu Xing and asked him to ask. Zhu Xing raised his phone so that Zhu Yu could see it clearly. Sister, do you really want to go to the same school as Ye Qingfeng? There seems to be only one or two places. What if you? What Zhu Xing was thinking was that if there was only one spot and Ye Qingfeng filled it, Zhu Yu would definitely lose the election. Zhu Yu shook her head. It's okay. Recommendation is just a choice. Even if I am not recommended, I can still get in based on my own strength. You have to believe me. The next day, Zhu Yu gave the class teacher an accurate reply. The head teacher saw the school she had applied for and reminded hesitantly, Ye Qingfeng from teacher Xia's class and Ye Zhiruo from teacher Rong's class also applied for C University. Zhu Yu, as your head teacher for 3 years, I know your strength and hard work, but I really suggest you make a different choice this time. The head teacher took out the information from another school and handed it to her. Look at this, it doesn't matter. Zhu Yu weighed the pieces of paper in her hands and suddenly felt very heavy. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1594. Chapter 1594, First Secret Love. After the submission list came out, brother and sister Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo were admitted to University C as expected, and their class teacher was filled with joy. Zhu Xing ran to Zhu Yu as soon as he heard about it and wanted to ask her about the recommendation, but Zhu Yu just shook his head. After working hard for so many years, of course I have to get into the best school. Since I can't be recommended to University C, I will get in based on my own ability. Zhu Yu said it very easily, as if she had a chance to win. Because of this matter, Zhu Xing was annoyed for a long time. Once I couldn't help but rush to find Ye Qingfeng, but Zhu Yu dragged me back at the door of Ye Qingfeng's classroom. If you make a fuss, everyone will be affected. I said I would focus on studying during this time. Because Zhu Yu knows very well that only by becoming better can he be worthy of that person. The college entrance examination is coming soon, and senior high school students are entering the final sprint stage. The graduation party after the college entrance examination was held particularly grandly. Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo, who spoke on behalf of the graduates, were as usual the most dazzling presence in the crowd. At this moment, some people sitting under the stage were already ready to do something at the last moment. By the time Ye Qingfeng came down from the stage, some bold girls had already chased him and stuffed things into his hands. Zuyu was still sitting in her original position, but her eyes were following Ye Qingfeng. She couldn't help but tighten the things in her hands. Hold on a moment. She could hardly bear it any longer. So many people showed favor to that outstanding boy, and that person gave everyone a polite reply without any bias, rejection. If she had gone there like those people, if she had been rejected like those people, wouldn't her only budding secret love be strangled in the cradle? But if she didn't go and miss the last chance, she would really not be willing to do so. Anyway, after graduation, everyone will go their separate ways, and no one will be able to see anyone else. Today is our day of liberation, so we can do whatever we want. What you said makes sense. I must confess to my goddess tonight. Haha, if you get lucky. There were some playful voices coming from the side, and Zuyu selectively listened to the encouragement she wanted. They are right. After tonight, everyone goes their separate ways. Even if they are rejected and embarrassed, no one will know about it in the future. You should work harder at the last moment. Pretending to approach the person casually, Zuyu could clearly feel her heartbeat getting stronger. Those who are close at hand and within reach are the infinite joy buried in her heart. That. Bless the moon. Ah. Unexpectedly, when I hesitated to speak, I actually heard my name from that person's mouth. Handwriting is clear and the voice is magnetic and very pleasant to the ear. What's up? Hearing the man's question, Zuyu shook her head subconsciously. When she reacted, she nodded immediately, yes. What's up? I am. I recited the words silently in my heart 1,000 times until I couldn't get a single word out of my mouth. After arriving, I forced myself to hold back a few words. I just didn't expect that you would still remember me. As soon as she said these words, she wanted to slap herself. Look what she is saying. When he felt ashamed, he heard a gentle laughter coming from the man's mouth. Your name sounds very nice. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1595. Chapter 1595. I wish the moon tree a breeze at night. Her name sounds nice. This was the first time Zuyu heard someone praise her name like this, and it was said from such a good-looking person. The sound of the voice falling on her ears felt as gentle as spring breeze turning snow. My name. My mind was so hot that I forgot everything I wanted to say. Zuyu intertwined her hands, feeling increasingly nervous. This thing seems heavy in my hand. When she was nervous, Ye Qingfeng took the initiative to ease the atmosphere. You avoided me on purpose before, and now you come to me. What's the matter? Zuyu couldn't help but widen her eyes. How do you know? Obviously. Zuyu took a deep breath and tried to adjust her mentality. Don't blame her for her wild thoughts. Is Ye Qingfeng paying attention to her too? She was heartbroken and handed the thing in her hand directly. Ye Qingfeng, for the sake of our acquaintance, can you accept this thing? When she said this, Zuyu had been feeling discouraged. She had even made plans not to refuse. She just stared at Ye Qingfeng with her eyes and faced the result with all her strength. What I didn't expect was, thanks. As soon as her hands were empty, she received the feeling from Ye Qingfeng. Blinking her eyes, she didn't even think that Ye Qingfeng would pick it up, so what should she do next? He was stunned for a moment, then squeezed out 4 words from between his teeth, happy graduation. Well, happy graduation. Ye Qingfeng nodded in agreement. Zuyu waved to him, turned and left. She walked for a while and then looked back, and saw that Ye Qingfeng had stepped into the avenue. Zhu Xing suddenly appeared next to Zuyu, patted her, and said in a teasing tone, okay, sister, you can take down the big guy calmly. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm talking nonsense. Many people saw Ye Qingfeng accepting the gift from you just now, so that's not special treatment. Hearing what Zhu Xing said, Zhu Yu turned around and looked around, and found that indeed several people were looking at her. It's quite embarrassing. She also heard Zhu Xing instigating in her ear, "Sister, you have been waiting for so long, and you have received special treatment. Stop the ink. This time I support you to express your love. Go quickly." "But, sister, today is the last day of school. If you miss today, don't tell me that I didn't help you, brother." Zhu Xing's encouragement seemed to rush into Zhu Yu's heart. She turned around and locked Ye Qingfeng's position. Zhu Yu ran into the boulevard at a sprint speed of 100 meters, spreading her hands to block Ye Qingfeng's path. Ye Qingfeng stared at her. It was probably at that moment that the staring eyes touched her heart. Zhu Yu didn't know where she got the courage. She stretched out her hands and knocked down the Ye Qingfeng tree. "Ye Qingfeng, please be my boyfriend." A girl suddenly rushed over and confessed so straightforwardly, almost making Ye Qingfeng confused. Zhu Yu became anxious. "Really, I've liked you for a long time. I didn't dare to tell you before because I was afraid of being rejected. Of course I'm scared now too, but after today there may be no chance. Regardless of whether it's embarrassing or not, anyway, we won't see each other again, anyway, that's it." She expressed her love incoherently, and Ye Qingfeng could hear every word clearly. He did have some special impressions about this month of celebration. "What school do you want to apply for?" he asked. Let them fall in love." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1596. Chapter 1596 Ye Qingfeng's future girlfriend. Of course it's Big C. Zhu Yu's goal is very determined. Ye Qingfeng understood it clearly and said only one word, "Okay." Zhu Yu rushed to catch up and asked for the result. "Ye Qingfeng, what do you mean? Are you rejecting it or not? Can you please explain it clearly?" When Zhu Yu chased Ye Qingfeng, a hand was already on his arm. Zhu Yu, who was full of confession, didn't realize that Ye Qingfeng's focus fell on her arms, and Zhu Yu's white hands. The night breeze avoided without leaving a trace. Zhu Yu stared at him, feeling extremely nervous. "Ye Qingfeng, please give me the right word quickly, and let me know what happens. If you get into University C, I will consider it." Zhu Yu didn't know how she got back to her seat. She was in a daze for a long time after that. Zhu Xing ran over to ask about the result, but Zhu Yu remained silent, neither smiling nor sad. This expression is difficult for Zhu Xing to understand. "Sister, how are you?" Zhu Yu shook her head. Zhu Xing sighed and used the words he had prepared to comfort him, "It's nothing. Qingfeng is like this. He doesn't pay attention to anyone. It's normal to be rejected. Not a rejection. This result is also what I expected, isn't it?" Rejection? Zhu Xing was stunned for a moment, not thinking about it. Zhu Yu looked up at him, excited. He said that if I get admitted to C University, I will consider it. No rejection. No rejection. You know, Ye Qingfeng's consideration is equivalent to a half agreement. Zhu Yu never thought that pie-in-the-sky things would happen to her. She was really lucky. Even Zhu Xing didn't understand this matter. "I didn't expect that this handsome guy in the whole school would really treat his silly sister in a different light. Zhu Xing is a good brother." He interrupted to go to Ye Qingfeng in private to ask for clarification. Ye Qingfeng walked to the end of the avenue and met Nangongyu there. The slim girl stood there, the bright sunshine just shining on her face, Her delicate eyebrows added a bit of gentleness and softness, and she just raised the corners of her mouth slightly, as if she could see her smiling particularly brightly. It's because Brother Qingfeng felt that the girl was not in danger, so he didn't run away. Nangongyu was laughing at him being held by a girl. Brother Qingfeng is planning to fall in love. No. But from the look on that girl's face, it doesn't look like she was rejected. Nangongyu carefully considered Ye Qingfeng's contradictory expressions. She was good at perceiving people's hearts and could always grasp the key points. I saw that Brother Qingfeng had a good impression of that girl and listed her as a future girlfriend. Xiao Yuer, I don't remember you being a gossip. Ye Qingfeng tried to interrupt her to detect. Nangongyu accepted the request and said, no, I'm just curious. Don't tell anyone else. Hey, it seems that Brother Qingfeng is very interested this time. Who are you trying to hide from me by specifically telling me? Nangongyu, who has always been docile and well-behaved, rarely teased him like this. With their childhood sweethearts' understanding of each other, they really knew each other's weaknesses. If Ye Qingfeng fell in love with the big Yuer, wouldn't the little Yuer in the family be turned upside down? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1597. Chapter 1597. Cross out her name with your own hands. The college entrance examination is over, and students in other grades are still struggling in school, but now, Beiju is very happy. Although she is still in school, she, a primary school student, only has classes during the day. She can play with Ye Qingfeng at other times. Beiju thought so, but in fact only the 2 or 3 days after the college entrance examination were Ye Qingfeng's free time. As an excellent person, in addition to talent, you also need to devote time and energy. So Ye Qingfeng quickly broke away from the stressful college entrance examination and went to work at Yes Group. Small nightclub. This is a project plan that the company will complete in the near future, and our company's regular summer recruitment work is gradually starting. It takes a week or so to filter out the results, and the final review will be decided by me personally. Okay. Although Ye Qingfeng is young, no one in the company dares to underestimate him. As Yezikin's only son, he has outstanding abilities and can do things more efficiently than some old tricksters who have worked for many years. Who would not be convinced by such a talent? The company has specific recruitment opportunities at this time every year, and these opportunities are prepared for young people who have just entered the society. Regardless of work experience, they can only rely on personal practical ability. There were many people who came to Yashi Group to register, but after several rounds of selection, there were only a dozen or so left, all of them outstanding. Zuyu stands out among them. Zuyu is now an adult and has the qualifications to work. At the beginning, she just wanted to challenge herself to evaluate her abilities. So when the interviewer asked about her working hours, she concealed the fact that she could only work part-time for 2 months and entered the final stage through her own strength. Review. Ye Qingfeng frowned visibly when he saw Zuyu's profile on the assessment form. Although this recruitment is to provide opportunities for young people, high school graduates who can only work for 2 months obviously do not meet the requirements. What they are looking for are talented people, and those who really stay will be carefully trained to work for the company in the future. Wish you the best. Ye Qingfeng picked up the pen and directly crossed out Zuyu's name. Zuyu was very depressed when she received the notification. She could have entered the final review stage, but was dropped by the company's boss in seconds. I don't have any hope, but I still feel a little unwilling. Although she was removed from the company, Zuyu still went to the company under Yes' name on the day of the final assessment. Zuyu didn't expect to meet Ye Qingfeng here. Still wearing a clean white shirt, the sunny boy in school seemed to have suddenly matured into a handsome social youth. It was an unexpected surprise to see the person I like here, but Zuyu hid. Seeing Ye Qingfeng passing by, Zuyu felt itchy in her heart, but she didn't move her steps tightly because she didn't know what mood and attitude she should use to face that person now. Zuyu came over to take a look because she was unwilling to do so, but when she accidentally heard them talking about Ye Qingfeng's identity, Zuyu was shocked. The small boss of this big company is actually Ye Qingfeng, so the person who crossed out her name personally is Ye Qingfeng? Thinking about it like this, Zuyu felt aggrieved. Although she was prepared to be exposed when she lied, she never expected that it would be Ye Qingfeng who would remove her. Originally planning to sleep, she directly found a rest area and sat down, facing the direction of the interview hall. Zuyu stared there intently. She plans to sit here and wait until Ye Qingfeng comes out to ask clearly. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1598. Chapter 1598 Beijiu and Zuyu collide. The final review time is limited to 5 minutes per person, and there are only 9 people in total. Zuyu thought she would have to wait for almost an hour, but she didn't expect Ye Qingfeng to come out 30 minutes later. Seeing that figure, Zuyu immediately stood up and ran over to stop him. Night breeze. Ye Qingfeng was a little surprised to be stopped suddenly, but Zuyu's appearance seemed to be reasonable. He was the one who exposed Zuyu's lies personally and crossed out Zuyu's name with his own hands. He remembered this very clearly. What's up? Well, do you have time? I want to talk to you. Facing Ye Qingfeng, Zuyu was still a little nervous. But she thought that since the two were alumni of the same school, and Ye Qingfeng's vague statement before, it at least meant that she was a bit special, and it shouldn't be a problem to delay a little now. But Zuyu did not expect that Ye Qingfeng refused without hesitation. If you want to ask a question about the interview assessment, the reason should be clear to you. If it's about other things, sorry, that's not possible now. Can't you? What's the matter with you? I don't know if it was a psychological effect, but Zuyu always felt that the Ye Qingfeng in front of her was a little colder than in school. She was embarrassed to pester Ye Qingfeng, but she couldn't help but ask casually, yes, what's the matter? The probability that Ye Qingfeng will answer is 50%. Zuyu was lucky. Ye Qingfeng told her without hesitation, I promised the little girls at home to attend the parent-child activities in the elementary school. Thinking that Beijiu had been whispering in his ears for a long time, asking him to cheer for him, of course he couldn't refuse. Zuyu felt very relieved when she heard the reason. She mustered up the courage to recommend herself, I happen to be bored, why don't you bring me along? One more person will help you a lot. Ye Qingfeng's eyes stayed on her, as if thinking, and nodded slightly after a while. It is said that women pursue men's veils, but Zuyu thinks the statement is still credible. While Ye Qingfeng was driving, Zuyu consciously sat in the back seat. I heard that the co-pilot position represents the hostess's seat, and she coveted that position. On the way, Zuyu found several topics, and Ye Qingfeng could answer them fluently, but he didn't continue the conversation. But Zuyu feels more and more that the person she likes is worthy, smart, handsome, and personable. Zuyu had not been to a primary school for a long time. When she entered the campus, she felt a little emotional when she saw the energetic children. I haven't been to a primary school for a long time, and I'm quite envious when I see these innocent and cute children. What are you envious of? This is how everyone gets here. Ye Qingfeng didn't take it seriously. He took Zuyu into the small playground specially built for children's entertainment. It was very lively inside. The activity area is filled with parents on both sides and children in the middle. Game time is coming soon. Beijiu was the first one to discover Ye Qingfeng. She had been standing on the edge, waiting for Ye Qingfeng to catch a glimpse when he came. Brother Feng, Beijiu ran towards them quickly and plunged into Ye Qingfeng's arms. Ye Qingfeng knelt down on one knee and hugged her gently. The interaction between the two people is very tacit and harmonious, and the degree of intimacy seems to be actions they have long been accustomed to. Mom and Dad are here, waiting for you. Beiju pulled him towards the activity area, completely ignoring Zuyu beside her. She didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional. Zuyu is quite embarrassed anyway. Zuyu followed Ye Qingfeng and asked, "Why don't you introduce such a cute little girl to her? Her name is Beiju." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1599. Chapter 1599. My little girl is spoiled rotten. Her name is Beiju, our little girl. Beiju didn't like to hear people say she was a little sister. Ye Qingfeng also changed her words in her expression, and her tone was a bit doting and gentle. Ye Qingfeng, if Beiju hadn't been a child, Zuyu would have thought too much. It is customary for people to start introducing the person to whom they are closer. When it is the turn to introduce Zuyu, they say, "This is my brother's friend. You can call her Sister Zuyu." Zuyu smiled and raised her hand to say hello, so as to leave a good impression on Ye Qingfeng's family, but she didn't expect Beiju to turn her head away so directly. Fortunately, Ye Qingfeng resolved Zuyu's embarrassment in time. "Sorry, I'm spoiled. Beiju has a weird temper. She has always had it since she was little. As long as she likes it, she will do anything. If she feels that the person coming here is not good, she won't even pretend to be good. Part of the reason is that everyone pampers her too much. After all, she is a hard-won child." According to her biological father Bei's idea, as long as Beiju is healthy and happy, she can do anything. Yuan Ran wanted to teach her, but as a law student, Beiju was very smart and knew how to reason with her parents at a young age, which made Yuan Ran very helpless. Even Ye Qingfeng also wanted to guide Beiju to correct her temper, fearing that she would suffer in this area in the future. But every time Beiju faced him, she acted like an obedient little princess. What to teach? Although Beiju has a weird temper, she never does bad things. She behaves well, but in terms of temper, we can only hope that she will grow up and become more sensible. When Yuan Ran and Bei saw Zuyu following Ye Qingfeng, the two adults had different thoughts. "Hello, uncle and aunt." This scene, if it were Nangang Luo or Gongqian Li, they would have laughed and joked, but Zuyu was unlucky. The first time she met Ye Qingfeng's relatives and friends, she met these three weird-tempered people from the Bei family. Bei was not interested in people of the opposite other than his wife and daughter, and Yuan Ran's cold temperament was not used to having heated conversations with others. He only gave Zuyu a polite gesture after Ye Qingfeng's brief introduction. Zuyu regretted it now. She really felt that she shouldn't have come this time. What she met was not Ye Qingfeng's parents. The family named Bei was obviously indifferent to her. But then I thought about it. Fortunately these are not Ye Qingfeng's biological sister and biological parents, but who can bear this indifference? The parent-child activities held by the school this time were mainly in classes, but because there were many parents, the whole scene was very lively. Taking into account the special circumstances of some families, the number of people involved in the activities is set. Basically, Kitano plays the role, but if there are 3 people participating, Yuan Ran will put down his usual quiet attitude and work hard for his daughter. Ye Qingfeng's eyes have been falling on them, and Zuyu's eyes have been on Ye Qingfeng. Zuyu looked at Ye Qingfeng for a long time, but the man didn't even turn around to give her a look in response. Zuyu's heart had already gone around in a big circle. She originally heard Ye Qingfeng say that Beiju had been talking to him for a long time before agreeing to come. She thought that Ye Qingfeng just doted on his sister and came to cheer her up. She really didn't expect that he would be so serious and his eyes would follow the girl running on the field. That little girl. She thought that Ye Qingfeng must not know how serious he was at the moment, as if he had the whole world in his eyes. Not all the characters in the novel are kind-hearted and good-tempered and polite occasionally, one or two weird-tempered ones are needed to try it out. This is the characteristic I set for Beijiu on Kixi Festival. Just like giving Nangongyu a well-behaved and gentle character, one setting is just like giving Nangongyu an unreasonable setting, but Kixi guarantees that the protagonist's three views are correct. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1600. Chapter 1600. Ye Qingfeng's self-blame. It would be great if one day you could look at me like this, she thought dreamily. Ye Qingfeng asked her, in question, and Zuyu realized that she had actually said what was in her heart. It's okay, she quickly put away her crazy expression and waved to Ye Qingfeng. Ye Qingfeng did not ask further questions. His eyes returned to Beijiu, and he saw the little girl holding a colorful toy ball in her hand and puffing her cheeks at him, looking angry. Ye Qingfeng instantly understood the reason for her behavior and quickly made an apology gesture to her. Beijiu returned to activities and had a great time in the competition. When the scene is over, she will give her parents a sweet hug to express her gratitude to them, and then run to Ye Qingfeng to act like a baby. Brother Feng, was you strong just now? Well, our you is the most powerful. When talking to her, Ye Qingfeng would bend down consciously, and sometimes squat on one knee. In short, it was a very loving conversation. Zuyu actually felt a little bit sweet in her heart when she heard Beijiu's self-proclaimed name and Ye Qingfeng's affectionate nickname for Beijiu. She is also called Yuer, and Ye Qingfeng even praised her as a very nice name. Thinking of this, Zuyu felt much better. Even if Beijiu didn't give her a good look, she would still show her patience to the unruly little princess in front of Ye Qingfeng. It is said that women have a very strong and accurate sixth sense, and so do little girls. It took a while to accept Mo Xiongnuan's sudden return. At that time, she was still young and could be coaxed, but now that a stranger appeared, she really didn't want to accept it. Children's minds are both simple and complex. When he was about to go home, as a boy and having a vague relationship with Zuyu, plus he brought Zuyu here, it stands to reason that he should be a gentleman and send Zuyu back. However, Beijiu held his hand and refused to let him go. In order to show her generosity and tolerance, Zuyu also took the initiative to decline and said she would go home. Ye Qingfeng stopped a car for her and sent Zuyu away. Looking back at the little girl beside him, he could only sigh helplessly. Xiao Yuer usually does a good job, doesn't she? Why are you so rude today? Beijiu said bluntly, I don't like that person. Ye Qingfeng opened her mouth to say something else when she heard Bei Ye's high voice coming from behind. Yuer, come here. Daddy. Bei pulled his daughter to his side, held her hands tightly, and made a stinky face at Ye Qingfeng. Ye Qingfeng, you stinky boy, you brought an outsider back and started teaching my daughter a lesson? Do you think you are dissatisfied? Just don't put people in front of us. My daughter, Bei, will never be wronged by you. He was always a handsome and domineering father in front of his daughter, but Yuan Ran didn't like what he heard. He scolded Bei a few words to calm him down, and then said a few good words to Ye Qingfeng. Qingfeng, don't worry too much. Your godfather has a weird temper and is as unreasonable as a bull. He blames us for doting on you too much, which makes your friend very embarrassed. I'll prepare a gift for you later. Let's apologize to her. Although Yuan Ran doesn't say much, he is already very mellow in his behavior. Hearing these very appropriate words, Ye Qingfeng felt particularly harsh. She was obviously the little girl he pampered, and he wanted her to live a free and unrestrained life. How could he forget his original intention? Here is a correct concept for everyone. As an adult man, if he expresses love to a 10-year-old Lolita, that is a deformed pedophile. Childhood sweethearts are people who are close in age and grew up together. When they were young, their so-called liking was simply liking each other, not love, but slowly getting along turned into love or family affection. The so-called age difference is when an adult girl falls in love with an uncle who is 10 years older than her. This is also possible when two adults have their own views on love. Do you really think it's okay for an adult to like a 10-year-old girl? Yet Xingfeng dotes on Beijiu, and she really likes him, but you can't let him say love to a little loli now, can you? Of course, Beijiu will grow up, maybe then. End of this chapter.